I know that so many of us living here in Shenzhen also agree with me that the weather here it's quite good compared to other cities, but it can get to be super humid and hot at some point that your clothes and stuff inside home can get mold, and that is really not healthy, annoying, and not pleasing for anyone living here in the south of China. Everyone out there, welcome to another video from SeaWorld Shekou, Shenzhen. SeaWorld, the water world. Today is gonna be a very special video in which I want to show you just around the neighborhood and, you know, walk with me. Let's enjoy together a beautiful day here in the city. It's kind of warm today, but it's cool. It's so far okay. It's not very hot. As you can see, people will cover themselves to avoid sunburn. And I'm quite hungry, so I'm gonna be heading to my favorite vegan restaurant here in the area, which is Yunlaiju in SeaWorld area. So basically, this is Hilton Hotel. Hello everyone out there, here is Mark. I hope you're having a great one. What are your thoughts about living in Shenzhen, or which is your favorite city to be living in China right now at the moment? 10 years ago I was living in Beijing because I was studying in BLCU. Some of you might perhaps know this university, Beijing Language and Cultural University, which was a great university. At the time it helped me a lot because, you know, I just came to China and I had to improve my Chinese, and I think it was the best option for me. And then 1 year has passed and I thought that the weather in Beijing didn't suit me because, you know, I'm from Mexico and the weather in Beijing can get to be super cold because I believe there are 7 months of cold climate and the rest somehow warm, just 2 or 3 really warm. And most of the time you have to be wearing like a big jacket, which I really didn't enjoy, like having a heater and just living on a heater. And when it was really cold outside, you cannot enjoy doing activities outside, just like now I'm gonna show you here. Like, check out this place, it just looks like California palms, right? So I really love this weather here, tropical one. That's why my name is Mar Caribe, the Caribbean style of weather. I'm gonna cross the street, and I know that so many of us living here in Shenzhen also agree with me that the weather here it's quite good compared to other cities, but it can get to be super humid and hot at some point that your clothes and stuff inside home can get mold, and that is really not healthy, annoying, and not pleasing for anyone living here in the south of China. I'm not sure why this mold gets into stuff, but I'm believing that the air is really polluted and it's super humid, so that's my case. Compared to, for example, Shanghai or Beijing, where you can find a lot of different options of Western food or vegan food, or, you know, you name it, which kind of food. Here still is quite limited, but it's on the process, you know. It's not as back in the day, and a lot of new venues are popping up. So in that regard, it's so-so. So talking about, you know, dining, eating out, finding Western options, I'll say Shenzhen, it's not the best option to be, but it's okay. It's coming. So you can just wait for it to be. It's not that bad. So guys, I have been in the city for the past 10 years and I have been witnessing its change, so I know what I'm telling you. That's the restaurant. So when I first arrived to Shenzhen from Beijing, I thought that this city was so green as well as like really new, because, you know, 10 years ago Shenzhen was, wow, so different from what it is now. I'm sitting right now in a SeaWorld restaurant, which was not existing back in the day. Like this whole complex of SeaWorld area, it's totally new. I remember that I was present, I was witnessing the opening of this complex. So I've been here that long. And when I came here, the university was kind of smaller, and the Western community, of course, was smaller as well. And there weren't so many options of like, you know, Western foods or vegetarian, vegan foods like they were in Beijing, because there were so many options, like for real, compared to what it was here and what it is still here. Because, you know, although Shenzhen has a lot of eatery, dining, restaurants all over the place, like you go to a shopping mall or you go to whatever area that it is, there's always food in there, but still I don't find a lot of Western options. I feel like most of the time it's just a Chinese style food. And I am sure that perhaps many of you will agree with me on that. But it's quite hard to go out in Shenzhen and to be eating something pleasant if you are on a diet, on a healthy diet. Because yeah, you can find a lot of Chinese food, but I'm not so sure if it's gonna be super healthy every day, you know what I mean. Now it's developing more and more, but still there are so very few Western vegan restaurants, Western vegetarian restaurants, or healthy ones, you know, like there is not even a good salad bar restaurant, like vegan options. I'm not talking about some kind of chicken salad or salmon salad. I'm just talking a real big bowl of pure, whole, fresh, organic even fruits and vegetables, like none yet so far, okay? So I think Whole Foods should come and open a shop here. Anyways, I was amazed by the variety of fruit that was available here, because in Beijing it was much more less, you know, the climate is different and here is the south. So regarding the weather, I feel like it is more comfortable to live here than in really cold climates like it was Beijing. During the winter we had to always turn on the heater. Also there is like a centralized heater on the dorms, in the unis and in the whatever place, banks, etc. So you are always under the heater, and that is not super healthy for you, you know, like your eyes get dry, your skin is so dry, your nose, because you're always under some kind of unnatural air, and it gets kind of, you know, enough. So when I was in here, I felt like really nice, like, oh, I can get to be warm. I really was so anxious to come to the south and feel warmer than back then when I was in Beijing. So before coming to Beijing, I was this kind of person that will never ever get cold, and I will not wear a jacket. But after living in Beijing for a year, I got to experience super cold winters, and I feel like my body absorbed the coldness, how it is said in the Chinese medicine. And I feel now cool sometimes, my feet, my knees. So I feel that living in Beijing was not the best experience, healthy-wise. Is that how you call it? So once I came here, I was okay for a while, and then I started getting sick, and I found out that here in the south we have the humidity, and the humidity in Chinese medicine is called like dampness. So it will get inside your body and you will feel uncomfortable, and it turns into all kind of sickness. So I was always on the hospital because I have some nose problem or a throat problem, and I had even pneumonia for one time. I had to go to the hospital for like 5 days. After I came out, I was still coughing. So after this, I took my health seriously and I went to the Chinese doctor. And once I went to the Chinese doctor, everything was gone for good and I was feeling better. Hello friends, I came to a Chinese clinic, private clinic, and because I wanted to check up on my symptoms. And here is the place. And they're gonna give me some medicine later, so now I have to go for a walk. I think I have some dampness on the body, and this symptom is a very Chinese traditional medicine term. So what it basically means is that you have some moist in your body, inside your body, and that makes you feel some awkward symptoms, like my hands and feet are cold. It's like the blood doesn't go there, I'm not sure. And then when I go to toilet, I need to use a lot of paper to clean myself. It's kind of strange, yeah. Okay, and then don't laugh about me. And that was around 6 years ago, and since then I haven't been on hospitals anymore. Although hospitals are really cheap in China compared to Mexico, perhaps USA, elsewhere, they will always give you a fast aid kind of solution like antibiotics, or perhaps this drip, how to say it, like. So I don't think it's very smart to be taking that many antibiotics, because you know your body will get used to them and it will build some defense if you are taking them that much, that often, because Chinese usually get a cold and they will just go and take antibiotics constantly or get the drip. And in Mexico, we do not do that unless we are really, you know, in need of that. Like, this thing is not common to see in Mexico, people sitting, and here it's common to see people sitting and having the drip and playing on their cell phone just because they have a cold. And it's because they say like, oh, I wanted to be over it fast. But come on, they have the Chinese medicine, which is really amazing. And since then, I started to take the Chinese medicine, and it worked for me amazingly. And I'm so grateful that there is Chinese medicine, because I didn't have any secondary symptoms as you will have whenever you are taking antibiotics, like your upset stomach or some other kind of, you know, alternative diseases that come after taking antibiotics. So that is my story about weather. First of all, I thought that Shenzhen was amazing to live here because it was quite warm. But after, the negative aspect of this weather thing here in Shenzhen is the humidity, that it can really get to your gut. Like, seriously. There is mold in my home, and there is mold in many places. Because we are living here, literally we are just absorbing the humidity, and that's why so many Chinese always go to these treatments to get out the humidity and the dampness in their body, because it affects you somehow. Another thing is, like, because here it's quite warm, they will use a lot of aircon. So whenever you are under the aircon and you're sweating, your pores will enlarge, and the coldness of the aircon and the sweat will directly go inside the pore, and then you will get this pain like I got a few weeks ago, because aircon was directly going through my, you know, spine or my back, and now I feel like super uncomfortable whenever I'm like contia, whenever I'm just under the contia, which basically means under the AC. So these changes of being like outside in super warm days and super sweaty, and getting inside the metro or whatever shop that is like having a very low temperature AC after you are sweaty, it can be quite dangerous, you know, for your health in the long term. I'm not just talking once. Like, once you're living here for like 10 years, then you have to really take care, because I have been experiencing all these changes. So first of all, you arrive to Shenzhen and you think that it's quite perfect. But after a while, you start feeling those symptoms of this dampness. Like, I don't feel myself like I used to feel it back in Mexico when I was really healthy. Now I feel like, oh, why I have this pain in my bones? Because I have this humidity. Yeah. So there is a pro and there is a con. The pro is that here isn't that cold, and you can get to wear really nice clothes, you know, summer clothes. And there are sunny skies compared to many other cities in China where perhaps it's quite cloudy, and it's very green. There are a lot of plants because of its good weather. It's near the sea. But altogether, the sea, the humidity, and everything will get into your system, and you know, as time passes by, perhaps you will also suffer these humidity symptoms, damage on your body. If you have experienced this so far, please let us know in the comment section. How has this humidity affected you if you are living in Shenzhen for the long run, or it didn't? Have you ever felt bad because of the weather in Shenzhen, or you feel great? You feel that I'm talking nonsense? You are totally, you know, able to write it down here. It's just my experience, okay? So I'm not talking for the whole community of expats, or I'm just talking for myself, of what I've been experiencing and what I know upon to what I've lived in the past few years, yeah. So whenever I'm traveling, for example, let's say to Guilin, which is in Guangxi province, I feel super good, because I feel like it's less humid than here, of course, because here we have the sea. and my system just feels better. Like I wake up more energized. Here I wake up more lethargic, more kind of, I don't know how to say it, but inflamed perhaps. How is the feeling of like feeling like not having that much energy because of the humidity on the air. And whenever I go to the more dry environments, I feel better. So since I've been traveling in the past few months, I have been able to see clearly what this weather makes me feel like. So I think that Shenzhen, it's a great city overall, but because of the weather condition, especially I was living in Shekou district, which is just like we have steps away from the sea. We live like here, so I think it's even more humid. And I also noticed that inside my home, some of my clothes as well as my stuff started getting mold, and that is like super not positive, you know, because then I just got to think like if my stuff got mold, then perhaps also my inside body has some kind of effect upon this humidity. And yeah, that's an overall, you know, summary of how I've been experiencing the weather here in Shenzhen and what I think about it. So I think the perfect months to come to Shenzhen will be like autumn and spring, because summer it's like really quite unbearable for so many people, especially if you come on a business trip and you need to wear your suit and your, you know, your shirt, etc. It's gonna be like humid, sweaty. So pretty. Wow, couldn't ask for more relaxation. And then on spring and autumn, it's okay. So come on those months, avoid also winter because it can be quite cold because of the humidity. Then you feel even colder than a place that it can be lower degrees but drier. And that's quite crazy, but that's the way it is. And that's the way I experienced it, as well as my friends. I had this friend from Russia who said like, wow, here is like really so cold because the humidity feels like it goes inside your bones. Whereas back in Moscow, it's quite dry. So even if it's like less 10 degrees, I wouldn't feel as cold as here. But that's what they say. Like some of my friends also agree on that. Like whenever it's humid and cold, you can feel it even inside because, you know, your clothes feel kind of moisty, and then it's different that in a climate where it's dry and you just cover yourself, it's like quite okay. And something that is really kind of weird is like Chinese, whenever it's here is dry because they are used to the moist, especially women for their amazing complexion. I mean, something that is really positive about being on a humid climate is your complexion. As you can see, perhaps the women here in the south of China have very amazing skin, and it's because it's all the time moistening itself from the weather, yeah? So whenever winter is arriving, you can see all these moisturizing machines popping around because people will want to, humidifiers, because women want to keep their skin moisturized and they feel like winter is super dry. But of course it's not super dry compared to Mexico or perhaps USA, some cities that you might be watching from, Texas, Houston, etc., right? Whereas it's really drier than here. But you know, that's what they say. They are quite extreme. Whenever they feel hot is hot, and when it's just like below a few degrees, they feel like, oh, it's quite cold, you need to cover, and it's not that very cold. But yeah, actually I've never bought these humidifiers to humidify my face or myself at home here in Shenzhen during winter. Have you ever? I don't know if you have ever. Please let us know your experience. I don't think it's a bad thing or a crazy, ridiculous thing. I think perhaps it's good for the skin, right? Because they say it's super dry during the winter, so they keep buying these humidifiers to moist their skin. And during the summer, they say it's too hot, so we still have to put mask because, you know, the sun burns and we have to use a lot of hats. I use this hat in Shenzhen the whole time because it covers my whole face and my neck. So yeah, one thing is that if you are living here in the south of China, or no matter where you're living in China, during the sunny days, you will see that people is carrying around umbrellas to cover themselves because they do not like to get sunburned. They do not want to be like brownish tan, you know. They try to avoid getting a tan darker, how to say it. So during the summer days here in Shenzhen, the sun can really get to be super intense. So you have to take care of your skin. And as you can see, I'm wearing this hat, as well as, you know, they sell even clothes to cover your arms and even hands, etc. So yeah, you can try them out and let me know. So summer days here in Shenzhen are so humid and hot, and even going out just to walk a block can get really intense, like really. So you need your shades and your hat and even your umbrella, and some people have this, because I get sunburn from here, so I will really try to take care of my skin with the hat and the sunblock. But I am thinking about getting, you know, the thing because I feel it's really helpful. I always feel sunburn. Anyways, let me know in the comment section what are your thoughts about the weather in Shenzhen. Do you love it? Do you do not like it? Not to say other word, because you know. Or do you enjoy it? Which time of the year is your favorite? And perhaps you are one of those who like rainy days in here, or perhaps you like winter days, summer days, spring days. What are your tips and tricks to stay comfortable living in Shenzhen? So it was kind of a video. I hope that you have enjoyed this one, and let me know in the comment section as well. So there is this friend who is following me and lives in Harbin. Hello! I know that he also makes YouTube videos, so big shout out for him. Actually, I don't much watch people in China making China videos, but if you want to go and check out his channel, I will. I'm just wondering, how can he survive in Harbin, really? So please give us your tips to live there. Like how? I don't know. I haven't never been there, and I wish to go to Harbin once, but I haven't had the chance yet. So hopefully I will be visiting that city someday. I don't know if in the near future, but hopefully I will have the chance, right? Okay, I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and if you did so, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, as well as to subscribe to the channel. It's totally free, and activate the bell, because in that case you will not miss a future video. And hello to that guy living in Harbin. Let us all know as well, how do you survive there? What is that you do on the winter, and how is it summer like in there? What is that you eat, and how do you get by in that cold place? Greetings to Harbin, and to Sarlan from Harbin. Is that his YouTube channel? So until the next time, see you. Bye bye. Kisses from the eternal green city. Well, hopefully it will be eternal, unless there are so many buildings popping out, and once there will be no greenery anymore. Guys, today it's a very beautiful day here in the city of Shenzhen. This cafe is just perfect. I didn't discover it until now, which is already the beginning of winter, but still we can chill out here. And look at this unicorn.